Alright, so on copied Ubisoft open world games according to the CEO of Ubisoft. That and more in the Everything PlayStation podcast, of course, with Jack Sharps. Hey man.
Hey, how's it going, guys? It's gonna be an interesting show and an interesting topic. Ubisoft, Ubisoft. What are you doing?
What are you doing? So, of course, we will discuss that topic here in a second, but we will also discuss the rapid news. We got some interesting news of GTA. We got a very interesting figure from Naughty Dog leaving, and of course, a patch for a pretty old game, a PS4 Pro patch. Then we also discuss the games that will be coming out this week. So let's go into the topic. Yeah, like we already said, Ubisoft kind of going on and saying people kind of used our blueprint, of course. Looking at the recent Ubisoft games, open world, you climb the tower, you analyze some things, you take the targets, and then you like gotta do a checklist of things, and then you move on to the next icon in the map to repeat that. And here Yves Guillemot is saying in the latest Edge magazine that you kind of see those things starting to appear in other games as well. Zelda Breath of the Wild, for example, took a lot of things that existed in Far Cry and other Ubisoft games, Yves Guillemot said, but did them perfectly. So he's kind of also saying, yeah, they kind of used it, but they did it perfectly as well. And he also mentions even the last Sony game, Horizon Dawn. Again, they took some of the same systems that we have, because in the industry we always look at other games and other publishers. A game is very complex, so it helps us to provide a good experience. And then I also want to mention some things. You can kind of already think about some things that are in Horizon Zero Dawn that might be in Ubisoft games as well, or like kind of are. The tower system I already mentioned. We got the tall necks in Horizon Zero Dawn. Made it way more exciting, of course, because you kind of had to look where the tall neck was, jump on it, and yeah, get a new like view of the map that way. There's a crafting system in it. You can sneak through bushes. Marking targets is also in Horizon Zero Dawn with Alo's focus, of course, and the parkouring platforming. But Zach, is that really like from the Ubisoft games, or?
No, yes, I mean no, but there's a like 1% yes, and
Yeah.
if he basically said it in the sense that we have a blueprint, like a total package of all these different elements that have already existed in other games beyond our games, that they obviously sort of looked at as a possible foundation, then I could kind of lean a little bit more towards his way, because you could see clearly a lot of games out there, even like Shadow of Mordor, for instance, sort of borrows some of that initial foundation and then builds off of it. But that's not a foundation that they necessarily built every piece of. They just sort of created somewhat of the I guess you could say the total package of it, which is a little bit more of the same thing in every single one of their games, which is why a lot of people sort of make fun of the fact, oh, you just go up a tower, you discover things, oh, you sneak through bushes, oh, you craft, oh, you tag targets, oh, it's kind of like the same game over and over and over again if you play Ubisoft games, because they follow the same exact formula. So in that sense, I can kind of understand where he's coming from, but I still think he's super arrogant, because all these features that he, probably would mention to you have been in games of the past before even the first Far Cry game. But if we just disregard the first Far Cry game, we look at like Uncharted 1. Uncharted Drake's Fortune released around literally the same time of Assassin's Creed 1. And that's really when we started seeing that formula really become its own. And so when it comes down to it, then you have to argue even Uncharted is somewhat of a clone of like the original Assassin's Creed, which just doesn't make sense. So it's really just a huge reach by them. I think it's really just one of those things where they're trying to be in the spotlight and trying to sort of claim like, hey, if you like Horizon, come play Watch Dogs. Oh, maybe play Assassin's Creed. We have Assassin's Creed Origins coming out. Pyramids.
To be fair, Uncharted is of course a single-player game. I mean, the parkouring style is of course that. Yeah, we also saw in the Assassin's Creed games. Assassin's Creed like kind of brought it to the open world series like in a mainstream way. But yeah, and you could also like, could you mark targets in the first Uncharted? I think you can, right? Not really.
Think so. I don't remember.
I know they did it like later on in the series, but I can't remember if it was in the first game as well. But yeah, to be fair, I mean, in Uncharted you did not really climb towers, but it's interesting, and it's kind of like you said, they do it with all the games. I kind of forgot about Watch Dogs, but there you go, of course, also have a drone. And now in the new Assassin's Creed game, you have your bird, Senu, that you can kind of throw out there and scan the environment and attack every target. So what it's also saying, like, that the other games did it perfectly, is what I already said with the Tallnex. Like, that tower system is way more exciting. There's just climbing the same freaking tower that now has like different like a thing. Like, you can now go through the middle and not through the right, while in the other tower you had to go through the right. Like, the Tallnecks are like awesome because you have to. I mean, in one spot there are like bandits protecting the Tallneck as well, so you kind of have to kill them first, and then you can get to the Tallneck. So they have new and exciting things while the tower system in Assassin's Creed was that not. So maybe now Ubisoft will be looking at the Tallneck system and think like, maybe we should put cyborg dinos in our game. No, maybe not that, but maybe they think of, oh, that's another way of doing it. Let's give our tower legs or something like that. But yeah, I think that what they're he makes a great point with, of course, people borrow from each other. I mean, looking at Horizon Zero Dawn, there are a lot of like different things from other games in there, like Monster Hunter, a lot of stuff as well, like some of the UI things, the way the enemies behave, the kind of like gear and stuff like that you can collect. But not only from Ubisoft games. I mean, it's kind of easy to say that if you now make an open world game, you borrow a lot of stuff from Ubisoft games.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of games, there's you can't, every new game can't recreate the wheel. I mean, the best games that sell the most copies are the ones that perfect the wheel. I mean, when you really look at World of Warcraft, for instance, it's not a really original game. It really isn't. It never was, even during it, like when it first launched. Yeah. EverQuest did a lot of the things that World of Warcraft does, but World of Warcraft did it in a way more polished mainstream form, which is why it catapulted its way to success. So, and then you can look at a lot of other things too, like with League of Legends. You know, League of Legends wasn't the first MOBA, but it used a lot of the original Dota's ideas and sort of polished it in a way that was mainstream and successful. And Dota 2 also did that in a way too. I mean, I'm not sure how, comparable Dota 1 and Dota 2 are, but it definitely, every single game that creates a wheel opens the door for other games to improve upon it and perfect it and maybe create the perfect version of that wheel. So it's not really something to be, shunned on. Like, you shouldn't shun a game for trying to improve upon something that you already liked before. It's only when they try and completely copy it. But I kind of find it funny with the tower system too. Thinking back, actually, the tower system's kind of like a glorified Fog of War, essentially. Yeah. And totally, we all know Fog of War has existed for many, many years. So it's just kind of funny how Fog of War turned into like Map Fog of War, which turned into towers, which turned into now cyber dinos.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you kind of had like the you put like in an RTS, for example, you put a tower to kind of see more of the world. Exactly. And that's what you kind of do as well. You climb the tower to kind of look out over the world and see more of it as well. So, yeah, of course, they have a blue blueprint right now, Ubisoft, that we see in a ton of their games. But to kind of say that a lot of people, copied from their games, it's a little bit like, it's a little bit arrogant, like you said. It's a little bit black and white looking at things. So, I think we can kind of move on to the rapid news.
Yeah, I think we can. Right into the rapid news.
So, GTA 5. It's the best-selling game of all time in the NPD. And then we, of course, have to explain, like, what is the NPD? Well, that's, of course, like, the sale tracking, like, company that, like, does the whole sale tracking for the physical games in the US. They started to do some digital as well, but if we, of course, say GTA 5 the best-selling game of all time, they can point toward Tetris and Minecraft and all those types of games. They probably sold way more, but it's way harder to track because they've been on the eShop and other things that are not tracked by the NPD. So, what is interesting, like in August, GTA 5 was the second best-selling game of that month. Like, it came out in 2013, so that's totally insane. But they still managed to do it. And why do you think they do it, Zach? Why do you think it's still like selling as much, making it the best selling game right now? Because I got some of these.
I mean, it could be the fact that they still update the online aspects of the game, which keeps it sort of the games as a service thing going for them. And then also the fact that because people still are adopting it, the word of mouth is still out there, and it's getting cheaper and cheaper. So people who maybe held off for a really long time still buy it up and check it out, and maybe buy some DLC and whatnot. So I think it's really just the fact that it was such a huge game to begin with, and so that takes a long time to sort of trickle away and become nothingness. And I don't really see it really dying down until GTA 6 comes out. If that ever is a thing, which I'm sure it probably will be,
yeah, of course,
just because how much this one sold. But yeah, I mean, even then, they still probably would sell little copies here and there. So
yeah, it's also like, sorry, it's also like a lot of people that go over to the PS4 or Xbox One and played GTA Online like on their PS3 and Xbox 360 still want to continue doing that while enjoying the like newer systems. So that's where you see a lot of those sales as well, I think, where a lot of people just jump to the new console and kind of have to buy that game again to still continue playing.
The double dipping.
Exactly. And I think that
which is what they're probably going to do to us PC players with Red Dead.
Oh, yeah.
They're probably going to release it eventually, but they're going to make us wait.
Yeah.
Because they want double the money.
Yeah, exactly. And no, they just need more time with the PC version, to make it more exciting. Yeah, but one day they will like stop with GTA Online. I think they once said that they wanted to stop with GTA Online because what is like the power of GTA is always like when it releases, when it is announced. The last time we played a GTA is like a long time ago. If people keep playing GTA Online, then when the new game comes out, it's not as exciting because a lot of people are like, yeah, but I play this every day, so it's cool to see a new game, but yeah, it's not like the same amount of excitement, I would imagine. So they already said we have to kill it at one point to make sure that people feel the need for a new title, but at this point they're making hand over fist money, so why do it right now? I think GTA 6 2020, something like that. I think that's maybe reasonable, but yeah, for now, it's a great achievement for them, of course. And I'm curious to see how Red Dead Redemption 2 will sell. Because that game, of course, when it came out, then the PS3, Xbox 360, not as... I don't think that the like PS4 is selling extremely well right now. Xbox One doing its thing. I think that by the time GTA 6 comes out, there are probably like more than 100 million consoles out on the market, PS4s and Xbox Ones. Like combined, of course. So I'm curious. I think it will do extremely well, and then of course we'll make a PS5, Xbox 2 version as well, and continue their reign. I think that's really what they're up to.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see them actually announcing a GTA 6 until 2020 at the earliest, and then releasing it 2021, 2022, just because of the fact they'll have Red Dead Redemption 2 coming out here soon, and so that will carry them for a good bit longer. So I don't know. I don't see it being as soon maybe as you, but I definitely do see within the next 4 or 5 years we're gonna hear GTA 6.
Yeah, but on the other hand, like
of
the only game they released during this cycle will then be Red Dead Redemption 2, or do you think that they will release another game after that?
I think Rockstar is more about the quality rather than the quantity, and they've shown that throughout the years. So I don't think they're gonna be rushing to be like, oh, we need to get one more game out here for the next cycle. They're gonna work on their game, fine tune it, and make sure that when they release it, it makes another big splash like GTA 5 did, and sort of lives on for a long period of time.
I wouldn't be surprised if this time they released it or like announced it in the same year and released it as well. Because I mean, yeah, right now we kind of see that where the industry is going with a lot of games. Of course, Fallout a great example of kind of where it started. Of course, the annual games like the Assassin's Creed, the Call of Duties, the Destiny 2 was also announced and then released a few months later. But we kind of knew about those games. For like GTA, they can just put up a logo, everyone will go crazy, and if you can buy the game in 3 months, then it would still sell enormously well. So not they're not doing preview cycles like where people can play the game. I think it's not that they're really doing that big of a marketing push, because they around release, but they don't really need it. Okay, let's move over.
So let's move over to a little bit sadder news. I mean, you guys probably know, Naughty Dog, big, piece of the Sony puzzle. But there was a guy named Bruce Straley, which was the co-game director for Straley. My bad. I always butcher names. It's a habit. Bruce Straley, Last of Us, Uncharted 4, co-director. He's going to be leaving the studio. So he did his heartfelt goodbye letter and talked about his experience with the studio and so on and so forth. He's going to be going into new ventures, and we hope basically that he succeeds in his new ventures, and definitely did a great job with The Last of Us and Uncharted 4 and other things that he maybe touched throughout his years at Naughty Dog. So
yeah, totally. Yeah, it's I mean, I don't know if it's sad, if he felt like he needed to move on. Yeah, I mean, the Uncharted 4 was his last work, and he did not do anything for The Last of Us Part 2 as far as we know, so it kind of felt like he was already kind of out of the picture. So I mean, of course, it's sad to see, because 18 years isn't. I mean, there are people that work longer for one studio, but on the other end, it's still a long time, and I think that it's also nice for other people to kind of rise to the top at Naughty Dog as well, right? If you have the same two people all the time there, with Neil Druckmann, of course, as well, that is now doing The Last of Us Part 2, then I think it's sad, of course, but we wish him the best, like you said, and will be interesting to see what I don't think. I mean, those games get made by hundreds of people, so if one visionary leaves, of course, kind of sad, but I think they will be fine. I think Naughty Dog will still great.
Yeah, I mean, he was a co-director, so it's not like he was the complete leadership of the company. He was part of the leadership, which it's still important, but it's not like one head guy who's known for all these games. That was the sole leader leaving, which could completely change the entire dynamic and the entire culture of a company. So I don't see it being that drastic of a change. But it's still always sad to see a top dog that's sort of driven the gaming industry forward leave to do something else, even if it's something that's going to be more exciting for him and maybe us in the future. So
exactly. Can't wait for him to see what he's up to next. So let's take a look at some Naughty Dog. What
there's cat meow in the background.
Yeah, I heard it.
Oh, jeez.
No.
All right.
Yes.
To The Last of Us.
Okay, The Last of Us. So kind of strange. They out of nowhere released The Last of Us The Last of Us Remastered patch 1.09. And it had some PS4 Pro enhancements, added user options to the PS4 Pro enhancement settings. So they kind of did some more enhancements for the thing, and that's pretty interesting because this game, of course, came out in 2014. Quote, offer greater flexibility to PS4 Pro players connected to a 4K display, as well as a traditional HD display to super sampling. So the game should be even more beautiful than it already is. Of course, it still was a PS3 game, kind of remade for the PS4, so it will not be as good looking as an Uncharted 4, but still great that they're doing it. They probably think, okay, in the holiday we will sell a lot more PS4s. A lot of people will, or PS4 Pros maybe. A lot of people will try The Last of Us Remastered, so let's upgrade it. Or they might discovered some tech in their recent games, and they thought, okay, we can maybe enhance The Last of Us Remastered. Why not? I don't know.
Yeah, and it could have also been a personal favor to Sony as well, because maybe Sony wants to bundle Last of Us with some other games with
exactly.
PlayStation 4 Pros for the holidays, so they want to make sure it's a great experience, because, I mean, you can get Last of Us Remastered for pretty cheap, so it's not like it's a huge loss to Naughty Dog, and so it's one of those things where it's like, well, you can sell more consoles, make your Sony overlords more happy.
Yeah, it's just that
it
was already PS4 Pro enhanced. It's just that they're now like adding
It's
more
gonna be even
features.
more
Yeah,
enhanced. Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah.
I have enough. I don't own the Lost of Us remaster. I'm not really a remaster buyer guy. I mean, I played the game on PS3. I loved it. So no reason for me to buy it on PS4 again, personally. But it's great for the people that do play this game, like maybe yearly or something like that. I do know that some people that just play their favorite game like once a year every time or something. And
Oh, I cannot do that.
no, me too.
I'm not that type of person.
Me too. We're more into new games, so let's look at the drop.
The drop.
So you picked some games up there, right? That are coming out this week that are worth mentioning, because of course we can discuss all the games that are coming out, but we kind of want to like highlight some of our favorites. But this week was kind of hard, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was looking through. I'm like, well, that's interesting, but I wouldn't buy that. That's interesting, but I wouldn't buy that. I mean, we have stuff like NBA 2K18. So if you're an NBA fan, and you love, that series of games, then you're gonna want to pick that up. You really enjoy that. But I'm not really into it, so it wasn't really a big deal to me. But then there's also like Minecraft Story Mode Season 2. It's retail release. So if you've been waiting for the Season 2 of that, that is going to be now available for you through retail, which I'm more okay with now that they have Wolf Among Us announced. So, go at it. But then if you're into fighting, you obviously have Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, which, Jordan, you played.
Yeah, exactly. At Gamescom, I played a few rounds, and it was pretty interesting because I'm normally not like a big fighting guy. I, of course, just play it at a friend's house or something to have fun. But this year, like, I started playing some Injustice 2, really like that game. Kinda, went in depth with like some combos and stuff like that. We repeatedly played it, so kinda got more into that. And if I then compare this to Marvel vs. Capcom, you really see how slow Marvel vs. Capcom is with, like, you have a lot of health. You can, of course, switch between characters, so that is really interesting. I like the character roster they have, but, I don't know, I mean, if you look at Injustice 2, it really feels like a game that came out on the PS4 with like a lot of like awesome super attacks, environments that can break and stuff like that. It's really dynamic in that feel, and I didn't really feel that in Marvel vs. Capcom. It was pretty standard. It was not really that exciting. So I think there are some reviews probably up as well about that game. But I don't know. It's cool roster if you like the Marvel characters and the Capcom characters. I personally liked playing them, but overall they also have like a sort of orb system where you can pick one of the orbs, one that will give you health or one that will revive your hero or something like that. They really have some interesting things. So there's like some sort of customization before the match as well that will make your strategy a little bit different. So there are some interesting things there. I don't know if it will be any like if you compare it to Injustice 2, I think it's a really hard fight because that game is really good. So that's my 2 cents for like the few rounds that I played.
So I guess since this podcast is going to be a little bit shorter, why don't we just let everyone know what we've been playing this week? So Jordan, what about you?
Okay, that's interesting. So some Destiny 2. I played it, of course. I think it launched last week. No, 2 weeks ago already. Anyway, I finished the main story missions and kind of felt like, they of course like teased it, like they really have a story now, cutscenes, blah blah blah. This was really what the first game should have, but the second game should go even further. Like they really did a cool job of creating these personalities and making sure that you know who these people are, but they still lacked a little bit of camaraderie. But my biggest complaint, and that's like throughout the whole Destiny 2, is that if you play Destiny 1, all the enemies are kind of the same. You have these 4 races, enemy or alien species, maybe I should call them that, but they all are the same. There are no new character models, only for the Cabal, and those are like the Red Legion guys. But they still have like the same character models, but some new enemies. We have a dog now, we have a guy with 2 swords, but that is really it. And if then the last 3 missions only feature 5 different Cabal enemies, then it's not exciting at all. Then it's just, okay, the environments look really cool, you go to pretty awesome like places, but the environments in Destiny 2 are all new, that's really awesome. But to then see all the enemies come at you, or every time you do a strike and the last boss is just a bigger version of an enemy you already killed multiple times, and that bigger version might be in Destiny 2 as well, then I kind of feel like, okay, is this why I did it? I don't know. It's not really cool. So I enjoy my time playing with other people. We did some Crucible as well, the PvP mode. That was really cool. I actually had some sort of LAN party going on Friday where we, kind of came together to do that. But I don't know. I will not be playing it solo anymore. I don't think that I will go grind again. And it was kind of where I kind of felt that this was going to be the case, because I kind of went out of Destiny 2, or I did not like Destiny 1 because of the grind and the same things over and over again. And Destiny 2 like made everything better, but it's still like the same things that you have to do without
still
new
the
enemy.
same foundation.
Exactly. So
yeah,
and that's why I fell out of it. So not really into that. I'm still playing Paladins as well. That's really where I get my like kind of fast game fix. I have a friend now to play with, so that is a lot of fun, and they keep releasing new content. So every time I log back in, there's something new for me to check out, or not every time,
indeed
but
they do.
Yeah, every 2 weeks they. It's really interesting, and I still love it. It's came out in April, I think, on PS4, and have been playing every week since. And I also have Dishonored, but I have not started it yet. So.
Yeah, I still haven't picked up Dishonored. I will be picking it up soon.
Yeah?
Probably next month when I have a little bit more free time. Because I got Divinity Original Sin 2, which is based off of the hit classic, which released not too long ago, Divinity Original Sin, which is basically a classic RPG, sort of top-down. You have a party. You can go a little bit more solo in this one, though, because there's a specific talent that allows you to, ride a little solo if you want to. But it's one of those things where most people are going to be riding with multiple people in a group of about 4 people, and they're going to be going through the world, discovering what's going on, discovering all the factions, different quests. Because one of the cool things about Divinity is the fact that you can tackle specific tasks so many different ways. So, for instance, that's not a spoiler because you discover it literally like right as soon as you get into the game. You have like a slave collar on, and you have to figure out how to sort of get the slave collar off of you, because it prevents you from using specific abilities. And so you can go, I think, throughout the entire game, honestly, wearing that collar if you wanted to, but you're going to be very hindered. So you basically have to talk with a lot of people, like, hey, do you know how to get this off? Some people already have theirs on as well, because stuff happened and you're on an island, and a lot of people have this collar on, and so you have to try and find someone to get it off of you. And there's a lot of people that can, but you have to fulfill certain requirements for them in order to do so. You have to help them out with certain things. You have to be a certain way. But what I ended up doing is I went a little bit further in game with my friend, and we found this lady who basically just wanted us to go to a particular ruin that basically had one of her friends that was trying to find like particular weapons. I'm trying not to spoil anything. And so we had to go find him because she wasn't complete without him. And we found him. He was in, a bunch of, combat and everything, a bunch of soldiers and stuff around, and we combated them and helped him with his task, and he went back to the camp, and she was happy, so she removed our collars, and that's how we got it off, and we were able to use more abilities. But you could also go, we could have got our collars off before that if we just knew how to, because our friend, one of our other friends who has the game as well, he got his collar off a different way.
Nice.
And then we looked it up to see, what type of ways you could do it, and there's just so many different ways, and that's just what Divinity allows you to do. It's the freedom of choice to do things particular ways by investigating specific things and specific tasks in order to open up different avenues for you to, to take based off of your preference. So,
and it's cool that you can play
a
it
really
together
awesome
now.
game.
Like,
oh yeah, I mean, I think you could have. I'm fairly certain you could have played the original one with friends too.
Yeah.
I actually own the original one, but I barely played it. I actually need to play it a lot because I played it when it was originally released. I think it was in early access before, and I just didn't really play it that much, like I should have. I just was in the mood for that type of game, I guess, and just sort of left it there. But this one I'm really digging because I played Pillars of Eternity, which is another classic RPG. Thoroughly enjoyed that.
yeah.
So this is in that domain as well, and I'm having a blast. I'm already 10 hours deep, and I don't see an end at all. A lot of people are saying it's like 50 to 60 hours long.
Nice.
And then you could spend hundreds of hours if you want to do like everything. So
Yeah, exactly.
it's a really, really big accomplishment.
Awesome. And yeah, it should be coming out. Yeah, I mean, the first one came to consoles like later on. They even had like split screen co-op where you could just play with each other on the couch. That's pretty cool. Of course, not a lot of split screen games coming out these days, so to do this, it's pretty awesome. So maybe it will come out like one day, right? Division.
Yeah, they have the foundation there. I mean, you can play either with the Xbox 360 controller or PS4 controller, and there's a full UI for it too. So they learned a lot from Divinity Original Sin on the consoles, and they definitely put a lot of that into number 2 to make it so when they eventually do port it over to consoles, it's going to be a lot easiver for them to do so.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
Wikipedia and stuff has it listed as it's supposed to be on there already, but I researched it and people said that no, they haven't even really announced it fully, but they probably will soon if they already have it and I just didn't see it. So
yeah, maybe do it in like January, like a very like crowded time to maybe get a lot of attention,
certainly.
because of course it's a great game, but yeah, not a lot of people are familiar with the franchise. Well, it could be pretty big, since a lot of people seem to love it. So cool, man. So yeah, there you have it, the PlayStation Everything PlayStation podcast. Of course, every week here on the JorRaptor channel. We're aiming for early the week. It kind of depends on what other news happens, because I kind of want to space my videos out, but right now we're going for Monday because we're recording on Monday as well. Subscribe to stay up to date on the podcast, of course, on other gaming content as well. Like the video to support the channel, and Zach, thanks a lot for watching. Jesus, I always say that. Thanks a lot for watching, Zach.
Thanks a lot for watching.
No, thanks a lot for discussing the PlayStation news with me, and we will speak to you next time. Goodbye.
Later, man.